At just 31 years old, tonight's newsmaker is making local history. Not only is he a couple of months into the job of being the youngest mayor in the modern era history of the Piedmont Triad's third largest city, he's also the first black man voters have elected to that post. And if you spend a few minutes with Cyril Jefferson, you'll learn quickly he's not your typical local politician. In fact, he's approaching this job in a way I haven't seen before.
There is a real energy and a real atmosphere here in the city that is looking forward to its future. We are ready for growth. I'll tell you, there's an excitement all around the city following the election.
Yes.
It's almost like you're in this honeymoon period.
Right.
And so some of what we're navigating now is just how do we keep the momentum going?
And for High Point Mayor Cyril Jefferson, keeping that momentum going is in a way reflected on the sign outside his office, a focus on equity and engagement where everyone has a seat at the table.
What is the city's biggest challenge right now?
What we've heard pretty consistently is how do we get more folks connected to what we have going on? I think if there's something that we'll do over this term that all of us are very committed to, it's boosting, it's improving the transparency, engagement, and communication of this organization. I don't say this in some fluffy or philosophical way. What I do believe, Neil, is that those who take more pride, who are more engaged, who are showing up more, that there is a financial benefit.
Jefferson's appreciation of this approach started while he was spending most of his teen years in High Point and graduating from Andrews High School. He would end up heading to Washington, D.C., where, as a student and playing in the band at Howard University, something happened his sophomore year that would change his life.
I was walking down Georgia Ave. It was pretty late at night. We had just gotten out of band practice, and I was mugged, actually. And my jaw was broken in two places and wired shut for 4 weeks. There was some trauma that I carried over from that experience. And after discussing with my family and friends, determined that the best thing to do was to come on back home.
That coming back home led to his getting a degree at North Carolina A&T State University, eventually becoming the interim band director at his high school alma mater, starting a family that now includes 2 children, and forgiving the person who mugged him, realizing that person may have been the product of his environment.
You may have folks who are dealing with poverty and make choices to mug and then rob someone because they feel like that's their only option.
Right.
I think there's a value in saying, how do we serve people so we never get to those points?
He says that mission of service, especially when it comes to young people, led him to founding his own company, Change Often, which, among many other things, helps nonprofits with marketing, grant writing, and planning. It also led to his winning the mayor's race on an equity engagement platform. For instance, not only did it call for more safe, affordable housing, but fair housing.
I recall my first several months on the job getting a number of calls from people saying, hey, I think I'm being discriminated against from my landlord. And at the time, the only retribution that we offered was, well, we're connected to an agency in Raleigh, and we can help you get connected to them.
It's why Jefferson says he and the city council have made it a priority to make High Point no longer the only major city in North Carolina without a fair housing board to handle these issues. On the city's economic development front, not only does Jefferson want to attract large job-producing businesses, he wants to support the small businesses, including minority-owned ones, like what the city's Thrive High Point initiative is doing already.
The most resilient kind of economy is a diversified economy. So that way, when you have the ups and downs that come with external threats, i.e. COVID-19 pandemic, you've got a diverse supply of businesses who can weather the storm.
And when it comes to crime, Jefferson's committed to build on the fact violent crime in the city, including homicides, was actually down significantly last year.
In terms of how we continue to drive down violent crime, Neil, we have to do it in partnership, not just with our police department and our constituents, but privately owned businesses. Within these establishments, we have to find ways in which we can reduce the likelihood that those crimes can occur.
There was a movement to defund the police. I would assume you're not in favor of something like that for High Point.
No, and that was never anything that this council ever supported.
But he does feel the city needs to work with the police department to build better relationships with neighborhoods, to de-escalate issues, and improve the perception of law enforcement in those communities. He also believes the resurgence of downtown, especially the Ballpark Social District, as well as the unprecedented growth of High Point University, are examples of High Point becoming a more equitable and engaged community. Again, the key will be building that momentum.
High Point is poised to grow like we've never seen before, and we're very serious about that growth. We're not just serious, but we're boldly optimistic.
As for the man who mugged him in Washington, D.C. years ago, Jefferson says police, to his knowledge, never made an arrest in that case. To read more about Jefferson's vision for the city, check out this story, which we're about to post on our website, myfox8.com. Click on the Spotlight tab, then the Newsmakers tab.